From Oracle Park, it's John Dickinson in the bunker. Giants beat the Mets 5-1 the final. Vintage Logan Webb tonight, just ground ball after ground ball after ground ball. Pitchers duel at the start. Giants able to score 3 in the 5th, add on in the 7th. Things got a little bit of drama in the 9th inning with Tyler Rogers unable to complete the deal after Logan Webb went the first 8. Camilo Doval summoned. Camilo Doval ends the evening with everybody happy leaving Oracle Park tonight on 5 pitches after the light show and everything else. Giants playing better baseball as we welcome you in here. Sports Phone KNBR on a Tuesday night. Giants take the first 2 of the series against the Mets. 808 KNBR is the number to join the conversation. 415-808-5627 to give me a call or shoot me a text here on this Tuesday night. Dominated by Logan Webb and the Giants. Relatively drama-free. Back-to-back victories over the Mets. They can go for the sweep tomorrow. Mets have been playing good baseball. We talked about it last night. They got off to an 0-5 start, and then were 12-4. Had just beaten the Dodgers in Los Angeles 2 out of 3. And now the Giants come in and immediately, boom, boom, take the series. When Keaton Winn pitches as well as he did last night, it gives you an opportunity to do something special if Logan Webb can be his usual self, which he was. And now Giants got to get Blake Snell going. We'll get into that coming up here as Sports Phone rolls on here on a Tuesday night. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The vibes are changing for the San Francisco Giants right now. We talked about it a little bit last night, and the question last night that I posed, I had a lot of good feedback over the course of the evening, and it was essentially, are the Giants getting better, or are they just in a tread water, failing to get worse kind of a mode? And I think tonight tells a little bit more of the story. And I said it last night, I think this team's getting better. I think the at-bats are getting better. I think the production's getting better in terms of hits with runners in scoring position, seeing fewer of those called third strikes in some of those situations with runners on, seeing some of the hard contact that was going for naught over the course of the first 15, 16 games. Now some balls are finding holes, and this team's playing clean defense, and they can pitch. And when teams can pitch, you're always going to be in games, and it's just this team 6-10, 7-11. Pick your spot in which it was the low point here in the early going of the season. But this team's starting to turn things around a little bit. 5 of 7 now, 4-2 on the homestand. And still the game to be played tomorrow and 3 more over the weekend against the Pirates before the Giants head out on the road. And they're almost back after digging that hole at 6-10 and 7-11 to the 500 mark. If they can get the sweep tomorrow, puts them right back at 500. It almost feels like, all right, the season starts over at that point in time, but with a little bit more momentum, a lot more momentum than the Giants had at any point. So, yeah, vintage Logan Webb in this one, just going toe-to-toe with Severino of the Mets, Luis Severino. And, yeah, I mean, just 3 up, 3 down for Webb in the first, 3 up, 3 down in the second. I mean, it just looked very early on like a big-time Logan Webb game. The ground balls, you heard John Miller break it all down. 15 ground balls leading to 16 ground ball outs in 8 innings. He got the double play on 1, and it was just, anytime there was even just a hint of trouble, it would go by the wayside for the Mets, and the Giants would get out of the inning, and they needed it. Fast-moving, well-played, efficient game, and the Giants then come alive in the 5th inning. Yaz is starting to come around. 3 RBI night for Mike Yastrzemski. And, Conforto's able to bloop in a hit after he took a hit away with the great catch in the top of the 5th inning. And, he had a game that was basically on an under 2-hour pace halfway through. Conforto bloops one in. Chapman lines a single to right field. Estrada then drives in Conforto. Estrada's at bats are looking better. The production's coming around. His defense has been nice at second base. And then Yaz brings in Chapman and Estrada. 3-0 Giants there. Logan Webb shutdown inning. Pitched through a 2-out double. Giants missed a little bit of an opportunity, I thought, in the 6th inning after a hit by pitch and a single. They had first and third with 1 out. Chapman and Bailey unable to come through there. But with the way Logan Webb was dealing, you just got the impression that it wasn't going to matter. And he went back out there in the 7th, leadoff single, but retires the next 3. 84 pitches after 7. There was no doubt Logan Webb was coming out for the 8th. The question at that point in time was he going to come back out and finish the deal? But the Mets were able to make him work in the 8th with 2 on and 2 out. 2 on after he got the first 2 out, but then he's able to get Lindor to bounce out and walk off the mound to the standing ovation at 106 pitches, and Logan Webb just pitching like the ace. And the Giants scratching out runs, starting to come through a little bit more with runners in scoring position, and play better baseball. It's all adding up. I think the template in which this Giants team needs to be successful is starting to be fulfilled a little bit more. And, they're playing cleaner. I think the defense, for the most part, has been better of late. The clutch hitting has been better of late. And, I think you just look at it, and the vibes are changing. This team is starting to be what I think they envisioned themselves being, even though a decent chunk of it was a little cobbled together with some of the late signings and different pieces at different points of the offseason, and Snell and Chapman obviously coming in late. But this team's starting to look like they thought it was supposed to look. And I think could make the case that, they had played pretty poorly up until the last week plus overall, or at least weren't getting the results that matched their efforts in some ways. But it hasn't and didn't bury them. And so now they're at a point where they feel like they're playing much better baseball. They're almost back to 500. I'm always a little reluctant to make too much of a positive run for a team that's under 500 until they actually get back to 500. But here the Giants are now, 1 victory away if they can get it tomorrow. 12:45 first pitch. But they got to get Blake Snell going. That's sort of the last piece of this puzzle, right? Conforto's been bringing it all year. Jung-Hoo Lee's had a lot of really good at-bats. Lamont Wade's doing his thing. Chapman, even with the 227 average, has come up with some big hits. But Yaz is coming on now. Nick Ahmed's had some clutch knocks. But they got to get Snell going. And that's the part where if you had told me a couple of weeks ago, the Giants are going to be on a run here, but they will be 0-3 and Snell starts, and Snell will be 0-3 and he's still going to be trying to figure it out. I think that actually bodes pretty well for the Giants as things move forward. The fact that you got a pretty good belief that Blake Snell will be able to figure it out, and Blake Snell will be able to be the guy who's been a multi-time Cy Young Award winner. And then at that point, you look up, if you're the Giants, given everything else that started to go better here over the last week, and you think you got a little bit of action. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It is John Dickinson here at Oracle Park, following the Giants' 5-1 win over the Mets to take the first 2 of this 3-game series. Game 3 to be played tomorrow. And, the question last night was, are they playing better or just treading water? I think it's pretty clear-cut now they're playing better. They're playing better. But now, what are your expectations for Snell? Because it's been late signing, no spring training, still working through the kinks, not in a rhythm. I've heard all the rationalizations. It all makes sense. This would be his spring, all that. But you need to get the guy. You're supposed to have a 1-2 punch if you're the Giants. And Logan Webb's held up his end of this bargain to this point. So I think right now, if you're a Giants fan, you're feeling pretty good. Haven't necessarily played the best baseball. Haven't really gotten anything from Snell yet. Haven't gotten buried. And you're starting to see a little bit more of what it's going to look like when this team wins games. You know, they're not going to be a team that's going to score a ton of runs, but they are a team that can score some runs. 4 for 9 tonight with runners in scoring position. That's going to get it done with Logan Webb on the mound. That's going to get it done with a lot of people on the mound. So, yeah, I think things are changing a little bit. I think the vibes are shifting. And this team's starting to show exactly, the kind of squad that they can be. But now it's a matter of consistency. It's a matter of, can you use your number 5 starter at the beginning of a series, getting a win, then your ace is an ace. And now you got to get the second ace to be the second ace. And if you can do that going into the off day before the weekend set, then I think Giants fans can start to dream a little bit again about the potential of what this thing could look like as it takes shape. It also goes to show why you can't truly panic 15, 16 games into a season, as bad as it did look at different points. So we'll hear from Bob Melvin coming up. We'll hear from Logan Webb coming up here on Sports Phone KNBR. I'm guessing we'll probably hear from Mike Yastrzemski from the Giants clubhouse as well, as the Giants get the 5-1 win over the Mets. Nice night for Yaz, 2 for 3, drives in 3. Estrada with some good defense, 2 for 3, drives in a run. Conforto had the catch that we mentioned in the 5th, got the rally going in the bottom half, 2 for 4 for Conforto, who's really hit all year through this first month of the season. And I think you got to give Camilo Duvall some credit tonight, because things you always kind of wonder about Duvall in the non-save situation, and it was a non-save situation at the beginning of the inning for Duvall with the Giants up at that point 5-0, and the hope is that Tyler Rogers is going to come in and he's going to make relatively quick work of the Mets, and Duvall doesn't even have to get up and start to warm in the pen. And so Rogers is struggling a little bit. 2 on, nobody out. They couldn't quite turn 2. Got Stewart, run scores. And then you're like, all right, McNeil's up. And this at-bat's going to determine, as at this point, Duvall's already up with 2 out and nobody on. And then the McNeil at-bat's going to decide whether Duvall's got to come in the game or not. He singles, and you're just thinking, because Duvall basically went from not getting in and not warming up to going to have to warm up but might not get in. Again, all in a non-save situation, to in the game, save situation, got to go put it out with the tying run in the on-deck circle. And he did it. Like, he handled his business. 5 pitches, turns out to be an easy save, and the Giants move on to tomorrow, inching closer to that 500 mark at 12-13. So how you feeling about this team now? Is it, hey, they were playing poorly, now it's a good week? And what are your expectations for Snell? Quick turnaround with the day game after the night game. And I think this is really, you get a big outing from Snell tomorrow. And look, I mean, I would set the bar. Can you get 5 clean innings at 5 innings, 1 or 2 earned runs, 5 or 6 strikeouts, fastball command? I'd set the bar less than Cy Young level. And going up against Sean Manaea, who can be wild at times as well. It's a great opportunity for the Giants tomorrow to really make some noise and really, really continue that push forward and kind of let everybody really in the Bay know that they're back. And they're ready to get the season rolling, and let's see what this team really can be and where they stack up as far as the rest of the National League and the rest of the major leagues go. All right, 808 KNBR, let's get to the phones. We'll start with Kim in Chico here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, Kim?
Hi, I was just at the game.
Awesome.
And, yeah, I watched Webb pitch 8 innings, which was pretty cool. I saw Estrada's pretty cool catch. Conforto had a good catch.
Yeah, all systems go tonight. It was a good vibe out at the ballpark. Quick moving game, good defense. Some good pitching up until the Giants kind of broke through there in the 5th inning. Feel good night all the way around, right, Kim?
For sure, yeah. The environment was awesome too.
Yeah, I know our question last night was the light show. Did you like the light show?
Oh, yeah, that was so cool. This is my first time seeing it, and I had been hearing about it. But, yeah, it was super cool, the upgrades that they made.
Yeah, I thought it was – I don't think anybody anticipated seeing it when it's 5-0 in the 9th. But, Tyler Rogers made sure that Doval got in, and everybody that didn't get a chance to see it last night got a chance to see it tonight.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. All's well that ends well, as far as the light show goes and all of that. And again, I give Doval credit for, at times you kind of wonder with Doval, is he, are there going to be some little things that might trip him up for a little bit? He always tends to figure it out, even if and a lot of closers are that way, where things start off a little wild and then you lock in, but he was locked in from the jump. Let's keep it rolling here on the phones. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. As it is, Sports Phone KNBR, Giants postgame edition. Giants beat the Mets tonight. It's John Dickinson in the bunker. And Andrea in Berkeley is next here on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Andrea?
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
Good. That was a great win.
Yes, it was.
Yes, and definitely enjoying that light show. And you suggested that I call it in today and talk about Jorge Soler. And what you were saying, actually, I just took a quick look at Blake Snell, and I'm a little concerned, but we can do that another time. But Soler, February 25th, 1992, so intuitive Pisces, born in Cuba. And I will say sometimes Cuba birth times are not always so accurate. Players tend to make themselves a little younger, like Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba, but we'll go with that. And Saturn, which is, a planet of seriousness, sometimes delay, connecting to his Mercury. So, delayed, not denial is the Saturn mantra. But what I'm really liking, Jupiter, planet of expansion, abundance, making a harmonious aspect to his Mars. Again, a crucial planet for an athlete, rules energy, assertion, aggression. And this is happening in June. So this gives him a lot more get up and go, more highly effective, good willpower, fulfills his desires and goals with a minimum of struggle. So definitely, timing is everything, so that's a nice Mars cycle to look forward to. And now Mars is in Pisces, so that's giving him a little more energy. Saturn's been in Pisces. That's like 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake. But definitely, that was a very positive performance today. And, talk about Snell real quick. I'm going to have to do some more studying. But we're going to have to manage our expectations with him. Past performance doesn't necessarily mean future success, as we know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, and he got off to a bad start last year as well.
Yeah.
And so he's a slow starter by trade, and does tend to figure his way around it. But I think that's where this thing can really be turbocharged for the Giants. They're playing better ball, but if they can get him going, I think that's where good can maybe turn into great, and then we can really see what this team can do, Andrea. Yeah,
I'm going to study his chart a little more in depth. So it's been a little erratic. Uranus opposed Mercury, planet of communication, important planet for an athlete. So a little, expect the unexpected. But we'll think good thoughts, and I'll do more research. And thank you for your show. I'm really enjoying it.
Thanks, Andrea. Appreciate it. Give us a call anytime. Andrea and Berkeley chiming in here. You know what? Let's get in another one, Kyle. I know I said we were going to take a quick break here, but as long as the people want to talk, we are here for you. A couple of lines open. 808 KNBR, the number 415-808-5627, Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line as well. Got a lot of people that want to talk. Let's get to Tony in Yuba City next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Tony.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on tonight, my man? You were at the game?
Yeah, I was at the game on my way home right now, actually. Yeah.
Awesome.
How about Webb's 8 strong though? I just want to start it off with that. That was great to see.
It was an ace pitching like an ace, and just saying not tonight. I mean, from start to finish, just vintage Logan Webb with the ground balls.
Exactly. I wanted him to go 9 so badly. Oh, I was really hoping for that, and he looked like it for a while. But yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, it really did. Even as late as the 7th, it looked like I think he's going to finish this game. I looked over at Austin and our digital team that we're sitting next to each other in the press box. I'm like, he's got a shot to go 9, but the Mets made him work a little bit in the 8th, couple on after 2 were out, and that's really what did it. And it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see what the Giants do, because they do have a couple of off days. They have the off day Thursday, and then they have another off day Monday before they go to Boston. Everybody's pitching well right now, except for Snell. Obviously, they got to get Snell going. He's going to pitch tomorrow. I wonder if they bring Webb back on Sunday, knowing that they've got another off day to where he can get a little bit of a break there. I wonder if they juggle the rotation a little bit with the 2 off days, because if they don't do it, he's going to get a full week before his next start.
I could totally see them doing that. Yeah, and you mentioned Snell. I just want to say I haven't lost hope. I've seen, especially being like online, so a lot of Giants fans that have lost hope. Still there. I early spring training or little to no spring training. I think it's still there. But I would be up for the Webb sort of. I guess it wouldn't be short rest, but soon start.
Yeah, it could be normal rest, and then you get him an extra day on the back end the second time around, rather than giving him a couple of extra days this time around. I mean, they'll figure it out. I mean, the truth is everybody except for Snell's pitching well to where you don't really want to skip anybody. I wonder if maybe they would do something with Hicks, just based on the fact he's looked a little, he's still adjusting to going from being a reliever into being a starter. I think they may pick a spot here or there to give him a couple extra days. I'm not saying it's to that point yet, but we'll see what ultimately happens with Snell. And, again, I think he's going to come around. It's just a matter of how long it ultimately takes.
Yeah, I do feel like he's looking better. It seems like he's feeling better based on his social media posts. So I'm excited.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Drive safe out there, Tony, at the game tonight. From Tony, let's go to Tom. We'll keep it rolling here on the phone lines. The people want to talk, and the Giants are playing much better baseball. Tom, you're on the Sports Leader in San Ramon.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was at the game tonight. I thought the light show was really, really awesome. I mean, I think that's great. A lot of people really love that. And so that's great that they've done that. I think the Giants really need to get to 500. I think Bob Melvin understands being around baseball, 40 years. He knows he needs to get this team 5, 6, 7, 8 games above for management to spend any more money. Because we were going without, we were dry until the Chapman and then Snell. And then, last part of the season there for the signing guys, the Giants kind of did a couple things. But I think the Giants are still finding themselves, and I think Webb was just absolutely completely dominant. It was great to see. It was like seeing something out of, you would say, oh my gosh, Marichal pitched like that, or Don Drysdale pitched like that. Webb pitched like one of those pitchers tonight. Dominant, completely.
Yeah. He's an ace, and they've needed it. I know for all the discussion about 1 and 1A, and obviously Snell's got a couple of Cy Youngs, and Webb's been in the running here a couple of times over the last few years. But it's Webb is the guy who's been here, and he's the guy who eats innings and doesn't eat innings because he's given up 4 and 5 runs. He's eating innings because he's getting 15, 16 ground balls that are being fielded now by a much better defensive team, which I think has been on full display here. The Giants are getting the defense going as this season goes on. Chapman's got it, but Estrada's been really good. And, Ahmed, except for a couple of throws here and there, has been steady. And so it's all adding up, but it's making a lot more sense now that they're in a little bit more of a rhythm, I think, defensively.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're a little weak at shortstop for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Ahmed's been he's been a Gold Glove guy, but yeah, there's something with some of the throws, some of the time. He's been a clutch hitter too, sneaky. He's actually come up. He hasn't had a lot of hits, but he's had some clutch hits.
Yeah, the acquisition of Chapman was absolutely necessary. So that really, he's just been phenomenal. I mean, the ball is just flying off his bat. Just completely. It's going, all line drives, everything is really hit really, really hard. So hitting looked good tonight. It was a little bit of a surprise from what we saw about a week ago. The Giants still just have to demonstrate that this is going to be consistent of what they're doing. And I feel like things are much better in Bob Melvin's hands, though.
Yes.
He's doing absolutely phenomenal. I feel so much more relaxed rather than schizophrenic management, numbers, all these things. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a better blend, and there's a calm too. I think at 6 and 10. I mean, he's been through it. You look at the A's. He had some A's teams that were I think supremely talented that got off to some bad starts, and they always would come around. They would always get it going May, June, July, and they would get on these massive runs and always end up right where they're supposed to be. So yeah, there's a professionalism to the way that the team carries themselves, to where they know it's a 162-game grind, and there's a belief that over the long haul they're going to be good enough to at least be in the mix. And so I think we're seeing that ring true here, where as bad as it's looked at times, it still looked professional. And I think that's what gives the team internally hope that it's going to turn around, obviously, in addition to pitching and defense, and some clutch hitting doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, clutch hitting was absolutely amazing. But you had a brand new manager here, and I just haven't heard anything negative. Nothing negative. When a team is not doing well. That's a really good sign. You could just tell Bob Melvin every day is completely pissed that his team is not where he wants it to be. I love it.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. He definitely wears it for sure when it isn't where it's supposed to be. Tom, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it. Tom's line open. You can jump in and join the conversation here. It is Sports Phone KNBR. Post-game Giants edition. Giants 5, Mets 1. So San Francisco now with another win as they make it 5 of the last 7, going back to the last game before they came home, the finale in Miami, and Keaton Wynn started that one. Now Logan Webb, 2 real good starts on the homestand for him. We'll see if he ends up getting a third. The Giants can tinker with it if they want to, but the reality is nobody's pitching so poorly that you want to skip a spot at this point. Everybody's been pitching pretty well, except for the guy going tomorrow who's still trying to work his way back into the Cy Young form. All right, 808 KNBR, let's keep it moving. And that means Glenn in Visalia is next here on the Sports Leader.
Hey, JD, nice to talk to you. An honor and privilege. Hey, welcome to the real sport called baseball. Because JD, because baseball to me is more a mental game, and I love brain games. And this kind of baseball, JD, I believe that Webb might get a couple, three or four complete games this year. What do you think?
I think it's on the table. I mean, 3 or 4 will lead that'll lead the majors maybe for the last couple of years, given the way the complete game's gone by the wayside there, Glenn. But no, I think he's going to have. I'll say this: he's going to have more than one. I'll definitely give him more than one. And look, he had action tonight, but no, is he not the perfect pitcher for the style of game now, where they're trying to create more contact, they're trying to have these 2-hour games, they're trying to keep the defense involved and have more action and keep everybody engaged. He's the perfect pitcher for this era, if you want to call it an era, that they're trying to develop. Still a lot of strikeouts and homers and walks and all that, but his games are kind of what Major League Baseball wants. These quick, well-pitched games.
I'm just going to say this, JD, that this pitching staff, it's going to get better and better and better as the year goes along. But I really going to say this. Bob Melvin, before he retires, at least going to win one more series, JD. Thank you, JD. Have a good night.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the call. 808 KNBR is the number. Glenn and Visalia, always welcome here. Sports Phone KNBR on the Sports Leader. Tuesday night, Monday night, any night, as the calls continue to pile in here following this Giants victory. Let's keep it rolling. We got Kyle Haar at the controls in our San Francisco studios, and David in Marin next here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, David?
Hey, JD, I'm doing well. I got to tell you, I mean, as much as it was a little bit of a disjointed start, the fact that the Dodgers, nobody else got out and ran away with it, only 2 games back, is, it's very relieving. Tonight's a shot in the arm, but here's the question I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Kind of play it forward. Alex Cobb comes back in a month. He's healthy. He's eating innings. Robbie Ray becomes Robbie Ray.
Okay,
Who are you moving to the bullpen?
Yeah, right now, you don't have an answer to that. A couple of starts a week ago, I would have said Keaton Wynn, and I would have thought Keaton Wynn could maybe help as a middle reliever, to be honest. Somebody that, but now it wouldn't be him.
We know it won't be Snell, obviously,
and it's not going to be Snell, and so yeah, I mean, Hicks has the experience, but he's worked out. I know he's been a little more wild the last 2 starts than he was the first 3 starts.
I think he's the obvious one because, I've heard people say over and over they're not going to pitch him 200 innings, 180 innings. In the middle of our bullpen, sort of the Rogers scare me a bit. If you had Hicks and Doval to take the last 2, maybe 2 in the 3rd innings, that's pretty tough. So I'd assume that's logical, right?
Yeah, I think so. Again, everything though that you hear, he loves being a starter, and I know it's I'm not breaking any news here by saying this, but part of the reason the Giants were able to get him was because they were one of few, if not the only teams that were like, hey, we believe in you as a starter. We know you want to start. He's like, okay, they're going to let me start and they're going to pay me well. I'm coming there because this is what I want to do with my career. This is the pitcher that I want to be. So I think you have to – it's a little more delicate than, hey, this guy's been an awesome closer, which he has been in his career also. He can maybe help a bullpen that might be a little thin. I'll also say this, David. I think the Giants are – the bullpen is a work in progress. Duvall obviously at the back end. You've got Taylor and Tyler Rogers. Walker's been okay, up and down here and there. But there are a couple of spots in between the starter and Rogers and Duvall that are up for grabs right now. I think those are going to continue to be a work in progress over the course of the season. They're going to have to figure out if they want to be a playoff team. There's no question about that part.
Yeah, I'm not pushing the panic button on the bullpen, but I would just say, and it's interesting because what you say with Hicks, I've heard that. I've also heard people say he absolutely knows that he's not going to start all the way through the season. It's too much to ask. So, he would be really great in the back end. But, if you look at it, you never have everybody healthy. But realistically,
True.
It'd be hard to move anybody right now.
It would.
Down to the bullpen, right?
It would. I was looking again. Like I said at the beginning of the call, I really thought Keaton Wynn with his split would be somebody that, hey, you're pitching an inning or two every couple of days. That could be an area 6th, 7th inning, and some of those games where the starter goes a little bit shorter. I think he could be a real weapon. Not that he would have pitched his way out of being a starter, because if anything, he's proving that he is a pretty good starter and somebody that wants to be an innings eating, type of a pitcher himself. He said that last night in his post-game media availability. So, Hicks obviously has done it. He's been a closer at a high level on good teams during his time with the Cardinals. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. That was going to be the other part of it. We'll kind of wrap the call on that note, David. I thought, injuries typically, it's kind of like in the NBA, right? You never have your full rotation. Every time you think you got your full rotation, somebody gets hurt, and so somebody's got to step in and play that maybe wasn't playing, and so it kind of takes care of itself. I know the Giants are being a lot more cautious now with Cobb. We'll see about Robbie Ray, but, guys are going to end up at some point probably on the injured list or need to be skipped for a start or two to be freshened up, and having that depth. No team goes through a major league season with 5 starters anymore. Hell, no team really goes through a major league season with 7 starters. Like, you really need 7, 8 guys that you can count on to be able to start and get through, because inevitably somebody's gonna go down. All right, let's keep it moving. We got a lot of people on the phone lines. John Dickinson in the bunker here at Oracle Park. Giants 5, Mets 1. Giants playing much better baseball. Let's get to Fozzie. Fozzie joining us here on the Sports Leader. What's going on tonight, my man?
JD, nothing much, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to hear from you. Good to hear from you, man. Not to I love you when I see you in the chat. Throwing up, hey, let's have a shot. Cheers. But I like you even more when I hear your voice, my friend.
Yeah, man, always good to catch up with you. KNBR struck gold with these nightly shows, and now they got you doing Giants post game, so it's great to hear from you. But yeah, just wanted to talk about Logan Webb, man. We got an ace, man, and it's great to see him doing well, and especially when we got our bats backing him up. I mean, there was a lot of things that I could talk about tonight's game, but I think overall, his play and the fact that our bats are really starting to go is what's going to make this team special. I was listening to, I think her name was Anita. She was bringing up Soler and, reading into his stars and whatever that was. And he gets hot in June. And, man, if he does, this team is going to be tough to beat with the way that our pitching is going. And you got him swinging the bat as well as Chapman getting hot. Going to be a tough team to beat for all these guys who have to see us down the stretch. I mean, everybody in our division is kind of floating in that mid-tier right now, but I think we're getting hot at the right time, and it's nice to see. Good to hear from you, JD. Cheers.
Yeah, appreciate it. Cheers. You're seeing that the bats coming around even a little bit is paying a big dividend, because it's not like it's been a mass offensive explosion from the Giants. It's just a couple of more clutch hits, and all of a sudden some of these games they're losing are turning into wins. And that makes a big difference. And I think that also plays well over the long haul here of a 162-game campaign. And it starts to ring true with some of what the Giants were putting out about the hard hit rate and, that sort of thing. As far as, hey, this team should have a few more hits and a few more runs based on how hard they've been hitting the ball. And so it's coming around. And, a couple more hits with runners in scoring position. All of a sudden, 4 scoreless innings turns into a 3-0 lead. 5 scoreless innings turns into a 3-0 lead. And you get a shutdown inning, you add on, and all of a sudden you're feeling really good going into the 8th and 9th inning with a back into your bullpen with the Rogers brothers and Camilo Duvall that you trust on most nights. Alex in San Mateo next year on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Alex?
Hey, JD. Not much. Just getting ready for finals. It's a stressful time of the year, but always happy and stressful less when we get a nice Giants win.
You're making me sweat just thinking about it, Alex. Finals. Oh, my goodness.
That's how I feel. No, okay. But, first thing I want to say is throw some respect on Logan Webb. That man has been consistent since almost day one. I'll say like his sophomore, junior year, been in the bigs. He's been our anchor. There's been times where so many people say, can he be?
Oh, did we lose Alex? We lost Alex. Alex, give us a call back, my man. Give us a call back. We lost you. We'll get you back. We'll put you on. Get you to the front of the line here as we continue to move forward here on Sports Phone KNBR tonight. Do want to get a quick text. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line 559 chiming in. Ahmed has what? A 280 average with some clutch hits late, and he picks it. Couple of bad throws. What an odd take by the caller with JD seemingly in agreement. Actually, I didn't agree. Actually, I was the one that said he's been clutch. Actually, I'm the one that said he's hit pretty well. And the throws have been an issue. And there's been some throws that haven't quite been errors that looked like they were going to be errors off the bat. But so far, Nick Ahmed's been fine. He's been fine. Like, again, is he an everyday 162-game shortstop of the future? No. But he plays solid defense, and if he's going to get clutch hits and everybody else is performing at the level that they need to perform at, then you can win some games with the staff that the Giants have and Nick Ahmed playing shortstop. It's not that crazy. But appreciate you chiming in. 808 KNBR is the number. Calls and text, full lines. Oh, actually, we got one open because we had our guy drop there. So if you want to join the conversation, you can do that as well. And that's what Harry and Davis is doing. Harry, you're on the Sports Leader. Hey, Harry.
Yeah, I was at the game tonight.
Awesome.
It was pretty good. Brought my granddaughter. She's a big Giants fan, so
that's great.
Hey, listen, Hey, I'm excited about their prospects, especially if you get some of these guys hitting, Estrada, and because he carried the team for a while last year, and and their pitching is solid. So the game tonight was pretty good.
Yeah, great vibe, great game, clean game, kind of an old school feel. Although I shouldn't say old school feel anymore, Harry, because it feels like every game now is like 2 hours and 2:20 or 2:30. 2:30 feels like a long game now compared to recent years. But yeah, it was good energy out at the ballpark, and this team's starting to become what I think they envisioned themselves being. Which is a team that's going to be competitive, a team that's going to, if they can get a couple of clutch hits with the pitching that they have and the bullpen at the back end, they're going to win some games and make a little noise as far as at worst the wild card spot. If at best maybe they hang around. I think the Dodgers are going to play better than they have to this point, but they haven't yet, and so you're only 2 games back in both races. Despite the fact that it really was a disjointed start, Harry, that a caller pointed out. I think that's the right word, a disjointed start to the season.
Yeah, and if you get Yastrzemski starting to hit, I mean, he can carry a team once and he got a couple of good hits tonight. I had a question for you because I'm wondering if the Giants could turn the clock back if they would have not signed Tom Murphy. I mean, you look at what Joey Bart's doing right now for the Pirates. He had an awesome spring. He's a young guy. I know we've held on. We hung on to him for as long as we could, but I was really kind of sad to see him getting released like he did. But you signed Tom Murphy, so you're kind of stuck with it. But I mean, Tom Murphy just looks lost at the plate right now. So I don't know.
He has to this point. There's no question. And yeah, as far as Joey Bart goes, I mean, he had a couple of good springs that didn't end up, turning into good regular seasons. And I think they, it was, you knew you were going to probably send Blake Sable down. You knew that Bailey was going to be the starter. And I think they wanted, and the one thing that Murphy's done throughout his career is hit left-handed pitching really well. Like, he's been a guy that you can plug in against some lefties, and that's where he can be a little bit of an advantage. And so that, to this point, hasn't worked, and he hasn't been the guy that he's been the last couple of years himself. So in hindsight, you look at that, and then you look at Joey Bart and what Joey Bart's done with Pittsburgh, a couple of home runs, and he's put up some decent numbers, 316 average, couple of home runs. He's not playing every day, obviously, as the backup catcher there, but you'd like to have that production. That production's more than Murphy's brought to this point, but I think they're convinced Murphy's going to hit. He's got a little bit of a track record, especially against lefties. And again, what you're really wanting is Bailey to be the guy and turn into somebody that was drafted where he was drafted, turns into being, an excellent defensive catcher that can also hit a little bit. The Bailey that we saw here a little more over the last week at the plate.
Yeah, no, Bailey is the guy. Bailey is the guy. So,
yeah,
no question about that. Well, let's see tomorrow. We got Mania going, and maybe tomorrow will be Tom Murphy's breakout day.
Yeah, we'll see. That's exactly right. Look for it. Look for it tomorrow, the day game after the night game, with the left-hander going both ways. And we'll see if Snell can get going as well for the Giants. Harry, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed the game, and be safe tonight. All right, Harry checking in here on Sports Phone KNBR. Let's keep it rolling with Calvin in Baltimore next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Calvin.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. The vibes have turned here over the last few days.
Yes, I like the defense that I'm seeing there. Strada's playing great, and Guevara made that great catch out in left, and Yastrzemski made a great catch a couple days ago or yesterday. I mean, I just like to see the defense playing like it is right now.
Yeah, the defense has been really good, and I think the Giants were – if the Giants were going to be bad defensively this year, there was going to be some hell to pay, because they really – right. With Jung-Hoo Lee and with Chapman and Nick Ahmed and Estrada's been pretty good. Like and Bailey is somebody that had a couple of throwing errors, but he's somebody that projects to be a plus defensive catcher. So I think they thought they were going to be really strong up the middle, really strong at the corner with Chapman at third base. And, Yaz is a good outfielder and right. Conforto tonight was, Conforto's never been a great glove guy or a guy that's really known for his glove, but he's played solidly.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I mean, you start to look around the diamond, and you've got 6 positions or so where you've got somebody that's either good or plus, good or real good, depending upon the positions. And, when you've got pitchers that are going to put the ball in play, that's all you can ask. And I think it's been a big part of the Giants' success here of late, that they have cleaned things up, and there's nothing that irks Melvin more than poor defense and sloppy, shabby play. And I think he knew this team was better than they had started the season, and now we're seeing it come to fruition.
Right, and if the offense stays consistent like it's been, last few games, and the defense stays like it is, and I can get excited about where this season might end up.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. You got to get back to 500 first, and then go from there, right? You work to get to 500, and then you push off from that point. But there's no doubt if they can do that, they're going to be in the mix. And the Dodgers have underperformed. Like there's no doubt about it to this point. Now they may have a 25-5 stretch in them. They probably do at some point, and then they just
probably
run away. I mean, they're that talented. You can't deny that. But to this point, they haven't been that team. They started out looking like they might be, and then struggled a little more of late. They were in a fight with the Nats tonight, ended up winning. But it ends up, you're only 2 out of both races. And with the 6 playoff spots, the 3 wild cards, I said it before the season, there's no excuse, Calvin, for the Giants to not be in the mix for one of those wild card spots. You don't even have to be the second best team in your division. You could be the third best team in your division, assuming this division is good, which we all think it is despite the Rockies. And so, it's right there. Like, to me, it's a major disappointment if this team's not at worst a wild card team or in the thick of maybe a 2 or a 3 team race where they come up short. But no, this team should be in that mix by September.
I agree. I was kind of worried early in the season when there was just no offense. They just weren't scoring any runs, and you wonder, is this the way it's going to be, or is it going to, change and they're going to come around? And maybe now I'm getting signs like maybe they're coming around now. They're getting some clutch hits and playing a good defense. So maybe it's a turnaround here. We're going to get where we should be.
Yep, and a caller earlier said it, and I think it's an important point. The caller had said, hey, if the Giants can win, get to 6-8 over, really entrench themselves in a wild card race at that point. And I'll tell you, if you're 6-8, if you're 8 over around the trade deadline, then you're gonna be in one of those 3 spots in all likelihood when you look at the history of where teams are at that point. And then you add. Then you go add one more reliever if you feel like you need it. Then you go add one more bat in the middle of the order or somebody that can extend a lineup. But you have to prove that it's worth it and that you're on the right path. And I think the most promising sign, Calvin, is the fact that it hasn't taken a lot for the whole thing to look a lot better. It's not like it's been an offensive explosion. It's just been a couple of more hits here and there with runners in scoring position, a little more traffic on the bases here and there, and it's translating to wins. It's 1 week, but it's really the first legitimate sign of some significant optimism this season.
You're right. I'm optimistic now. I wasn't earlier, but I'm getting there.
Well, it didn't look good. They weren't playing great defense, and there was, they weren't hitting. That was the main thing. And when you don't hit, you look flat, and you look sometimes like you're kind of going through the motions, and even if it's not the case. And so this team's coming around with the bats a little bit, and it all of a sudden the whole thing looks a little bit more lively. Calvin, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, take care.
All right, 808 KNBR is the number. Wow, how about that? How about an hour? How about that, Kyle? An hour, commercial-free, just taking calls, rapid fire. Giants fans feeling good about this team for the first time, I don't know, since the opening weekend, right? They go and they win 2 of the first 3, and then that Easter Sunday game with Dalton Jeffrey starting, and they get throttled there. They go to Dodger Stadium and get swept, and really it's been kind of an uphill climb. A couple of moments, I guess, against the Padres with some late inning heroics in the first home series of the season, but it's really been kind of a climb for the Giants the last couple of weeks, but they're starting to pull their way out of it. All right, let's go ahead and pause here. We'll come back. We'll hear some sound from the Giants clubhouse, but we do have a couple of lines open. 415-808-5627. It is KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is Sports Phone KNBR. Dial the digits or send us a text at 415-808-KNBR. We're streaming on YouTube all damn day at KNBR 1045.
All right, welcome back. It's John Dickinson in the bunker at Oracle Park. Giants beat the Mets 5-1. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Our buddy Austin Scott from KNBR Digital in the house. We'll get to a couple of text messages here. The 707 about Conforto against his old team. Clutch bat and glove, unlike Jeff McNeil. Yeah, Conforto getting it done against the Mets, no question about it. 707 also chiming in, different person. Don't forget Robbie Ray pitched in the bullpen, mostly in the playoffs. Yeah, look, if Robbie Ray's healthy and in command of his fastball, then Robbie Ray can be a useful pitcher. That's a good call. Maybe it isn't somebody, maybe it doesn't mean he comes into the rotation and that kicks somebody out. But, yeah, it's a nice problem to have when you look at, the different options that the Giants could have here moving forward as far as their starters and depth and maybe a starter turning into a reliever. We'll see what happens with Hicks and all of that. 831, I agree with this. Joey Bart needed a change of scenery to succeed. I'm okay with Murphy as the backup. Yeah, I mean, the Giants, it's funny. They've always liked Murphy. They had Murphy going back a few years ago before he ended up in Seattle, and Murphy really hit for Seattle after they let him go. And, they ended up not needing him, but then they still kind of wanted him and thought he could be somebody where this team wasn't going to be as platoon heavy, obviously, but Murphy was somebody I think they thought they could plug in day game after night game against the lefty, and he'd get some hits, and maybe even be somebody that could pinch hit at times against some lefties, and you could create some advantages there. And it hasn't worked out to this point. I mean, we'll see. It's early, but he's not off to a great start. But the more important point is the change of scenery for Bart to succeed. I think that's fair. I mean, he was the number 2 pick, and it didn't work out. And they had already moved on to Patrick Bailey as the new franchise catcher. And so, could he have been an effective backup, which is what he's been to this point with the Pirates? Sure, but if you're the Giants, why would you go into this season thinking, hey, Joey Bart, this is going to be the year? Because he's had good springs that haven't translated. So I get the Giants hedging and going and getting a right-handed backup catcher like Murphy to go with a switch hitter, Bailey, and then you got Sable in the minor leagues as well, who's a lefty hitter. So it makes a lot of sense in terms of overall balance, the way that the Giants look to do it. But it also stings when you see a dude who was the number 2 pick in the draft, and he goes elsewhere, and he's more productive really than he'd ever been with your club, even as a backup with a couple of home runs and 5 driven in and whatever he's hitting, 315 in 6 games. But that's more really than we'd seen from him at this point. The 209 chiming in here. What will the Giants do when they get full strength as far as starters, Ray and Cobb? Could you see a trade? Get an all-star from a losing team? I think it's only happened once where the Giants were in a position with Farhan Zaidi where they were clear-cut buyers, and they went and bought. And they went and got Chris Bryant before Chris Bryant got paid again. And then they decided not to sign him, and that was the right call. So, the 107 win year in 2021, they went for it. They look to add. So I think if this team's in the race, and the caller said it earlier, you get 6-8 games over 500 toward the deadline, I think the Giants will look to add. I don't think there's much doubt about it. I think that's all. Farhan's a Billy Beane disciple, and Billy Beane always would look to go for it in a meaningful way with teams that he thought had the ability to do something special, even on a shoestring budget. The A's would always be unafraid to look to add premier talents, even if it meant giving up some premier talent to do it, a la Cespedes for John Lester back in the days. Has it really been 10 years? That's been 10 years. That was 10 years ago. End of July. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit from the skipper of the Giants, Bob Melvin, as he met with the media postgame here tonight at Oracle Park.
Can you just speak to Logan's performance? I think it's 19 straight scoreless innings now, and just how locked in he's been. Yeah,
very.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, very. So, and you saw it from the beginning. All the ground ball outs are kind of tell you what's going on with him. Low pitch count. weak contact. That's kind of when he's at his best. It's never really about strikeouts with him. It's about early count, weak contact, and that's what we saw basically the entire game.
I mean, you mentioned it there. Was it a good sign that Tyra was getting all that exercise out there in the infield?
Yeah, for sure. They had all the left-handed bats in there, and that's what he does. He makes you get out front a little bit and pull the ball on the ground. So, yeah, Tyra got his work into it.
You've seen Logan on the other side now, but seeing him kind of in a role, multiple starts in a row here, I mean, do you see anything new or different?
No, I'm just glad I'm on his team.
His pitch count was kind of getting up there in the 8th. I guess just what gave you the confidence to, kind of let him get through that jam?
Oh, I wanted him to go out in the 9th early on. If it was in the low 90s, it would have been a tough decision because we got some off days coming up too. And you always want to be able to let somebody like that potentially have a chance to complete the game. But that was going to be his last batter at that particular time. But shoot, he earned that. And what was it, 106 pitches in 8 innings? It's still pretty good.
Was still a game to go. What does it mean for you guys to take a series from the Mets?
We got another game to go. But, we're just winning a couple games in a row and playing good, sound baseball, for several games now. Even the Arizona series, I thought we played good. It ended up being a split, but we're playing better now. We're getting some big hits when we need to. We're playing solid defense. We're getting better pitching across the board.
Guys don't really throw 220 innings anymore like he did last year. He's on pace for even more than that. Or are you just comfortable this early just with how he looks, and is this just kind of the way he'll go all year?
It would be one thing if he was a 97, 98 guy. As far as the velocity goes, he's not. He's conditioned to do it. He was in great shape coming into camp. We'll see where it goes. We're still early in the season. And maybe at some point in time, depending on the way he feels, we'll probably cut down some pitch counts. But at this point, seems pretty good.
You guys are 4-0 now in his last 4 starts. How important is it to have just a guy that you can count on like that every 5th day?
It's huge. It's huge for any team to have a guy like that. So, whether it's losing streaks, whether it's, like today, where, you're going into the second game of the series against a really good team that's playing well, and to win that game, it's those are the kind of guys that step up for you. So that's what aces are made of.
Bob, you've seen him on the other side do that on the mound. This year, being able to get the chance to be around him, be in the dugout with him, what are some of the things you've kind of picked up or learned or found unique?
He's just a great guy on top of it. I've said a couple times this year already that, leadership, it's tough for a pitcher a lot of times to be a leader on a team, but it's not. He is, for sure. And it's not like he jammed himself in there. He's just, performance, being around our guy. This year it feels like, just talking to some of the other guys too, that he's taken that to another level. So, he's a guy that you can talk to on pitch day. A lot of times starters, you don't even want to go near him. And you can't tell if he's pitching that day or if, whatever day it is. And he's there for everybody in this team and supported by pitchers, position players, everybody.
Yeah, he's been a big-time leader. And, look, if this team ends up doing something special, I mean, he was, I think, inadvertently and really maybe even directly a part of saying, I mean, he did say things needed to change at the end of last year. So it was pretty direct. And I know, there were changes. Gabe Kapler's no longer here. Bob Melvin's here. The Giants have a little bit more of an old school vibe to their professionalism. Still using analytics and all that and the spreadsheets and the iPads and the data and do this and play that guy, but there's more of an old school delivery and approach. And look, Logan Webb is a young dude, but Logan Webb's as old school as it gets in terms of his baseball mentality and work ethic and professionalism and all of those things. And obviously being from Northern California and he likes being close to home. And he knows what the Giants mean to the Bay and to Northern California. And, he's somebody also that came up in the prior regime. He came up in the championship regime. And so I think there's a little bit of a different standard to what, he believes excellence to mean for the San Francisco Giants. And look, if he's going to go out there and pitch like that and be all of the things that Bob Melvin, said that he is in terms of somebody that teammates like and can set the tone, awesome. They need it, and they've got it. And then you go out and you pitch like he did tonight, and it only furthers that momentum. 15 ground balls, 16 ground ball outs in 8 innings, just setting the tone. And the Giants are getting a couple of more hits than they had been earlier, and all of a sudden those hits are turning into runs, and they're winning. And so, yeah, it's all kind of fallen into place for the Giants at this particular point in time. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It is John Dickinson here in the bunker at Oracle Park. Giants 5, Mets 1. They'll go for the sweep tomorrow at 12:45 with Blake Snell on the hill. Got to get Blake Snell going. Still time to sneak in your expectations for Snell tomorrow. Like what will go down as a positive step for Blake Snell? I said it earlier, if he could just get through 5 and give up 2 runs and strike out 5 and look like he's got command of his fastball, and win, lose, or draw, I think that would be a positive step compared to what we've seen at this point, where he's been a little erratic in terms of the command. And things obviously got away from the Giants more than him. And I do think there was a step from the Tampa game to the Arizona game. But then ultimately you look up and he's given up 15 earned runs in 11 2/3 innings with a 1.97 whip. That's not going to do it. But notoriously a slow starter. But again, the Giants are paying for a 1-2 punch. And Webb's holding up his end of the bargain. It's time for Blake Snell to start holding up his end of the bargain. I do think he'll come around. But you get him pitching like himself, then I think you've got a team that's got some action. So, yeah, if you want to weigh in, Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line, or join the conversation on the phones as the Giants get to 12-13, winners of 5 of the last 7. We can do that at 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. All right, let's go ahead and hear a couple of minutes of Logan Webb from the Giants clubhouse as he met with the media earlier tonight following the win.
Logan, obviously, always hold yourself to a high standard, but last 4 starts, you've been very good. Just how locked in and comfortable have you felt out there past couple of starts on the bump?
Yeah, it felt really good. I feel like me and Patty are really getting dialed in with the sequences and what we're trying to do, and it's been fun. It's been fun working with him, and also, the defense played unbelievable. I feel like that's another thing that they've done the last couple games, right? They've just, balls that probably should be hits that are not hits, because those guys are doing an incredible job out there. So it's been overall, it's been fun to be a part of.
We've asked you a lot of questions about run support over the years, and probably kind of likened the 21 runs in your last 3 starts. What's it been like to watch just the team get on this roll?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I think it was a weird year last year. I don't know, the hitters felt the same way, but I don't know how hard those guys work. And obviously, as a pitcher, we love to see runs, and they've done a great job. I don't think he needed to actually dive. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was awesome. I think it was it right after that too? I think he scored. I call it. He's a 5-tool player. I'm just happy for him. I feel he feels great. Looks great. And obviously, making plays like that and doing stuff, hitting wise and fielding, and running the base, it's been awesome.
know you, how badly did you want to go out there for the ninth?
Bob told me I would have gone out for the ninth if I was under 100 pitches, and I agreed with him on that, to be honest. I shouldn't have tried to. I tried to get a strikeout at the end of the eighth inning, and I saw the pitch count. I don't know. I wish I kept it under 100 there and went out for that last inning, but yeah, it's one of these days.
We know how much leading the league in innings meant to you last year and getting over 200. You're on pace to even get past what you did last year. What's your goal this year in terms of just what kind of workload you want to carry?
It's the same as always. It's not trying to necessarily exceed it by a lot or anything like that, but just trying to go out there and give as many innings as I can. And I think when you do that, set yourself up to go 200. And you guys have heard me talk about it a million times. That's the goal, is to go 200. Hopefully every season that I'm able to pitch. So it's the same this year. But yeah, it's been a good stretch. Hopefully, just keep it rolling.
What's key for you to get lefties? It's a very left-handed lineup. What sort of is it? The sliders, like that was a pitch that you kind of went to in a couple big spots today.
I think it's a general just mix of everything. If I don't rely on one pitch, 4 or 5 times in an at bat, I think that's kind of the key. Being able to, throw my sinker, being able to throw 4 seams. I feel like a decent amount of those today. Throwing the slider, obviously, but yeah, I think it's just if I can mix and keep it pretty even, it makes a huge difference.
What does it mean for you guys to take two games already from the Mets with a game to go?
Yeah, I think anytime you can say you won the series, it's great. I know that we're gonna come in tomorrow and try to take the third one for sure.
Yeah, Blake Snell on the mound tomorrow for the Giants as they go for the sweep against former Giant Sean Manaea. Battle of the lefties tomorrow here at Oracle Park. And you hear from Logan Webb there. He said it. Bob Melvin told him if he was under 100 after 8, that's what it would have taken for him to go out for the ninth. I thought he had a shot at it. 84 after 7. If you can get a 15-pitch 8th inning, and Webb said it after retiring the first 2, he goes for the strikeout, ends up giving up a base runner, but able to work through the 8th inning, walked off to the standing ovation, and everybody knew at that point with Webb sitting at 106 that was going to be the end of the night for Logan Webb, but the end of a spectacular night for the Giants ace as he gets a win and the Giants get their 4th consecutive win in Logan Webb's starts now to improve to 12-13 on the season. 808 KNBR is the number. Still time to sneak in some more phone calls. We'll get to them coming up on the other side. Also, our friend Austin Scott from the KNBR Digital team, he's going to stop by the bunker here, and we will chop it up a little bit as the vibes are turning for the San Francisco Giants after 6-10, 7-11. It's 5-2 in the last 7. Tomorrow's a big one, though, because it's Blake Snell. We'll see if he can get things turned around. If he can, back to 500, given the way everything has gone, I think you'd absolutely sign up for it, believing fully that this Giants team is going to continue to have a formidable rotation. And they're starting to get hits, starting to get a few more hits with runners in scoring position, and that's translating into not just runs, but victories for this team, and victories even against a team like the Mets that came in after taking 2 or 3 against the Dodgers and had been very, very hot. So Austin will join me next. More phone calls coming up as well. We may even switch gears and talk a little 49ers between now and midnight. It is Sports Phone KNBR from the bunker at Oracle Park. John Dickinson here on 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Sound off on the sports leader. Sports phone KNBR keeps rolling right here and on the all-new KNBR app.
One strike offering. Ground ball to first. Wade's got it. Webb covering. The toss from Wade. And Webb gets the put out. The inning is over, and that's 8 strong shutout innings for Logan Webb. And after getting the put out at first, he heads off the field. And the fans here at Oracle Park give him a nice ovation, knowing that his night is probably over. 8 shutout innings for Webb against the Mets.
Feel-good night at Oracle Park for Logan Webb. Giants beat the Mets 5-1. Webb gets the win as he goes 8 in this one. Logan Webb, 6 hits, 4 Ks, but it was all about the ground balls for Logan Webb in this one. 15 ground balls leading to 16 ground ball outs. He gets the double play. Giants with the 3-run 5th after being set down 12 in a row by Luis Severino, who was really good those first 4 innings. Giants touch him up in the 5th, add on in the 7th. A little bit of drama in the 9th, but Camilo Doval comes in. Second light show, no problem. 5 pitches, easy save, bails out Tyler Rogers a little bit, secures Logan Webb's victory, and the Giants are on to Wednesday afternoon with a chance to sweep the Mets. 808 KNBR is the number. Let's get back to the phones. Do have a line open here if you want to join the conversation in the 11 o'clock hour. Mike in San Francisco has done just that, though, and joins me here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Mike.
How you doing, JD? It's a pleasure to hear you again.
Yeah, good to speak with you.
Great. Well, speaking of feel-good vibes, I know a lot of us watch our games with our parents and family members, so I wanted to give you a little take from my dad tonight.
Okay, love that.
We were watching the 4th going into the 5th inning there, and Dad was sitting there and he was telling me that Logan Webb was getting all these outside strike calls and getting real lucky from the umpires, but Severino was getting pinched a little bit. And we saw it there at the end of the 4th where he kind of jumped off the mound a couple of times. And, he eventually got off the mound striking somebody out. But Dad said, he's really pumped right now, and he thinks we can't hit him. So let's catch him sleeping. And the next inning they come up, sure as heck, they went out there and they didn't hit the ball hard at all, but it all turned out like line drives in the scorecard. 3 or 4 hits there, got the 3 runs, and I just thought that was pretty cool listening what Dad had to say and it coming through tonight, and wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Those kinds of stories are always welcome when I'm on the airwaves here. So please keep them coming. And you're right, we love the dads on Sports Phone with JD. In fact, I just got a text from my dad during the last break, asking me about the game, and I was am I going to reply to him? Am I going to wait till after the show? Wait till the next break? But yeah, no, dads are definitely welcome here on Sports Phone when I'm hosting. No question. Thank you very much for the call tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon here, Mike.
Great. Have a lovely evening.
All right. Yeah, that 5th inning for the Giants, as they finally got to Severino after he had set him down 12 in a row, and yeah, Conforto with the bloop, and it was a very similar hit to the ball that he made the great catch on in the top of the 5th, but McNeil unable out there to make the play in left field, and it falls in. Then Chapman lined one to right for a base hit, and after Bailey flew out, it was Estrada with a base hit to bring in the run, and then Yaz with the big hit of the inning, driving in Chapman and Estrada. Yaz hit it pretty well, well placed, and that brings in 2 for the 3-0 lead. And those are the innings that the Giants just frankly haven't had enough of this year. They've had a lot of innings where blue pit line drive single, And then once there's that first fly out, it's called third strike, ground out to second, or it's pop out and foul territory to third, called third strike to end the inning, or a couple of lazy fly balls that can't get a run home from third with less than 2 outs. I mean, in a bunch of different ways they haven't been able to cash those runs enough, but tonight they do it. And they did it not only in the 5th inning, but they also did it in the 7th inning. And with the way Logan Webb was going, more than enough to get the job done, and it all adds up to a 5-1 San Francisco Giants victory. All right, Austin Scott from the KNBR digital team now joins me here in the bunker here on Sports Phone KNBR on the Sports Leader. Austin, what's going on, my man? We played a lot of the sound from the clubhouse. We played Melvin. We played Logan Webb. The vibes are slowly coming back. That's kind of the theme of the show tonight.
You know, JD, it's the clubhouse has been pretty good. The vibes have been great, and I don't want to say I'm taking credit for this, but I do have to say 4-1 since I've been going to games this season.
Look at
and
you.
The duo of me and you, 2-0.
Look at you.
So
look at you. You're always okay. I see where you're going.
The
with
vibes are turning, and I mean, I think on a night like tonight too, the way Logan Webb came out and just whenever Logan Webb is getting that many ground balls at that rate, you just know that like he's on it. And I think that's what Bob Melvin took away in his press conference after the game was like, as soon as he saw Logan Webb getting those ground balls at that rate from, you know, the first inning, the second inning.
Sure.
I mean, you said 14 ground balls, 15 outs.
Yeah, it was 15 ground balls.
That's insane.
16 outs, and you just kind of go through the night. First inning, 3 up, 3 down. Second inning, 3 up, 3 down. But you're right. You knew, and I even made the note at the end of the second inning, the top of the second, I put quintessential Logan Webb. Like it was just boom, boom, boom. Third inning, it was a 2-out double, and then that's it. Then leadoff single in the 4th, but it was either 2 outs and he gave up a hit, and then it was all right, inning over, or it was a leadoff hit, and then boom, wipe it away. 4th inning, he gets the 4-6-3 double play. Nothing doing there. Conforto helped him out in the 5th, and this thing was cruising. I mean, this game was on about an hour and 54-minute pace halfway through. It didn't end up much longer than that.
I think the first 4 innings were 45 minutes. I mean, I actually don't have the exact minute.
It was 57 after the top of the 5th.
After the top of the 5th, but after the bottom of the 4th, it was like under 50 minutes, which was like insane. It was flying.
Yeah, and then the Giants come up in the bottom of the 5th. We talked about that. Webb gets the shutdown inning, another inning in the top of the 6th. He staked to the 3-0 lead, and in the 6th, it was pitching through the 2-out double. So he gets the first 2, double, inning over. 7th inning, leadoff single, boom, 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 retires the next 3. At that point, I'm thinking complete game at 84. Got a little greedy, as he said.
I think that might be the funniest takeaway of the entire night from the pressers was like Logan Webb was literally looking at the pitch count. Like he was trying to strike out the last batter. He was literally trying to get out of that inning by striking somebody out. So he got a little greedy. He knew that if he got over 100 pitches, he wasn't going back out for the 9th. He got over 100, but I thought that was funny. I mean, he was cracking it up with everybody there in the locker room.
He was going after Nimmo. And yeah, ended up Nimmo made him work, but he's going after Nimmo. He walks Nimmo, and then Marte comes up with the base hit, and then it ends up 1st and 2nd. At that point, I don't think 5-0 lead. Anybody's thinking that he's coming out of the game. Then I think he was a batter away. I think if Lindor does something, then he's got to go to Rogers, who's been warming up to get through the 8th. You always want to give a guy like Logan Webb the opportunity, even if it's only 8 innings, to walk off the mound and get the standing ovation, which was a part of the vibe tonight. But he handled business against Lindor, little slow bouncer to Wade, and that was that as far as the top of the 8th inning went for the Mets. But yeah, I do think he was a batter away from maybe having to come out at 7 2/3, and then who knows what happens if maybe the Mets string something there together. Duvall probably has a more normal 9th inning. It would have been a save situation, and he could have timed out the light show. It looked like he timed out the light show better tonight.
Yeah, I think the
even coming
Giants
in mid-inning
out better. I mean, like I think after last night going pitch black midway through his pitch and it did come out. Bullpen catcher, he did catch the ball. Okay, he's okay. So
Well, they waited. It didn't go dark until the gate had opened and he took a step onto the dirt, onto the
let
warning
him
track.
finish warming up, and it was and it was weird at first because it was like, all right, well, there's runners on first and third. It's a little sketchy. Like, are they going to do it? And then they eventually did do it, but they were definitely hesitant on going pitch black. And I know some of the other media members were like, because it didn't go pitch black tonight. It went pitch black last night.
Right.
And is that part of the routine? Like, is it going to go pitch black again? Or
Did they violate a rule? Did they violate
Maybe
did they violate an MLB rule? Like, it can go dark, but it can't go completely black.
Because, when it went pitch black last night, everybody was like, what the F is going on?
Yeah.
It was,
and then it was boom with the glow and the spotlight.
Yeah.
And all of that. So, yeah, it seemed like he, it took him one maybe to get used to that because he was awesome. He
was lights out.
I was thinking, hey,
99, 100 back-to-back pitches, and when Camille gets in the zone with his heater for strike one and strike two back-to-back, that's a pretty good indicator of Camille's got his stuff because he's a strike. He likes to start his at bats with a strike, getting ahead 0-1. So when he does that, that's how you know he's on it. And so he was great tonight, and he was a lot better than he was last night.
Yeah, he got Wendell, struck him out, and an easy ground ball to Chapman. 5 pitches. It winds up being probably his easiest save of the year.
Without a doubt. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities.
Without a doubt, he comes in, and it like I said, on a night where he probably didn't think he was good. I said to you at the time, things can be a little tricky at the beginning. He usually figures it out, but sometimes he can make life a little bit difficult.
Well, he had that outing in San Diego earlier when it was,
But even
that 3-run homer because it wasn't a save situation, but they were down 6
and he's getting
runners
pitch
on,
clock violations, which I guess were something with the pitch comm kind of a thing.
Right.
There was an issue there. I know Melvin was asked about it in San Diego, and he was like, he clearly didn't. He didn't like it and was going to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
And he came back and he explained that there was, I guess, a pitch comm issue, and it wasn't indifference is what he goes. So it sometimes it looks like he's indifferent out there, bleep it. I'm going to take my time, and if I get a ball, I get a ball, and I'm just going to do what I do. Melvin was quick to explain off of his conversation with Duvall that that's not what it is. But sometimes I don't want to say rattled, because I don't think it's rattled, but sometimes it just takes him a batter or two or a couple of pitches to fully lock into the moment. And so, tonight that was not the case. So I was concerned because of that history that an inning that was not a save situation, and not only was it not a save situation, but he wasn't warming up at the beginning of the inning because it's 5-0 and you're thinking Rogers is going to go boom, boom, boom. So then a couple of guys get on, he starts to warm up. Then it's all right, base hit, run scores with McNeil, and all right, Rogers is out and Duvall's coming in. I'm thinking, well, if it takes him a batter or two to get engaged in this one, the Giants might be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, and I think Giants fans are very similar where
didn't happen.
Anytime Duvall comes in, it's you're confident, but you're a little uncomfortable. You're just slightly uncomfortable, and especially in those situations that you're talking about. And it gets weird when you feel a little uncomfortable whenever Duvall is not in a typical coming into the ninth, starting the inning down
you
2,
want it
down
to be
3,
5-2,
5-2, 5-3, 5-4, starts the ninth inning.
Right.
That's where he's
and
been.
I think maybe tonight, the way that it all worked out, there was more urgency based on the fact that it was, the tying run was in the on deck circle at that point. It was truly by the time he got in, it was a save situation, and he really couldn't afford to, walk somebody or have an issue that put him in a spot where, he gives up a bomb and all of a sudden, it's a different ball game. So I thought he was really good tonight. And that was one of his best outings considering, I think, some weird circumstances in terms of probably didn't think you always kind of got to think you might get in even at 5-0, but he probably wasn't thinking he was getting in at the top of that inning.
Yeah, I think just looking back at this 6-game stretch, 4 against the D-backs, now 2 against the Mets here at home, it's for me, I think tomorrow turns into possibly going into it, maybe the biggest game of the season, because right now the Giants are 12-13. Blake Snell has had, let's face it, a pretty awful April, and Blake Snell is known for his slow starts, but just looking back, Logan Webb came out on Thursday, got a nice win against the D-backs. You kind of throw away Friday. Blake Snell start, he allowed a few runs, but it got out of hand. On Saturday, it's turning into one of those starts where if Blake Snell goes out, they do well, the Giants get the win, they go to 500. It just seems like Blake Snell having a good start is like one of the last things the Giants need to get over that hump to be like, all right, everyone in the rotation's kind of rolling. We're starting to get hits. Like, I think tomorrow Blake Snell needs to have a good outing for Giants fans, for the team to understand that they're gaining actual momentum.
Yeah, if you don't win the game, you can say that you still won the series and you had a winning homestand and you won the prior series in Miami. That all still can be framed as some semblance of momentum, but if that happens, that means in all likelihood, Blake Snell didn't pitch well enough for you to win the game, which is, in the context of the grand scheme of things, not good.
Yeah, I mean,
because
is it a Giants game where Blake Snell's going to go out and pitch 5 innings, allow 2 runs, and the Giants lose 2-1? Or is it going to be a game where Blake Snell goes out and he allows 4 runs through 4 innings?
And 3 2/3, and he's walking guys.
He's walking 4. Yeah, right.
And the command just isn't there. So I do think it is a big day. I mentioned it before you got over here. We've heard all the rationalizations with his career history, not having spring training. It's time to put one together. It's time to put one. And again, one of the questions tonight that I threw out there to the listeners and for people to call in is just kind of what are your expectations for Blake Snell tomorrow? To me, it's just get through 5. I'll even say 2 runs, 4 or 5 strikeouts, maybe 1 walk. And
he just needs to show that he has his command with his fastball, just not walking hitters.
Not walking hitters, and also not missing in the zone to where it's getting hit.
Blake Snell's not known for going 7 or 8 innings. He's not this magnificent inning eater.
That's why I said 5. That's why I said 5. So just get 5.
Walk, maybe 2 or less batters, and just show that you have command and allow 2 runs or less. I mean, I think at this point, it's actually very interesting, just, Giant fan discourse, social media and all that. I think fans, I don't want to say it's split. I do think majority of Giants fans are like, what in the heck is Blake Snell doing to start the season? But there are still some fans that are like, okay, Blake Snell did not have a spring training. He has had the whole month of April. He's had slow starts in the past. Bob Melvin has acknowledged that too. It literally happened last year when he won the Cy Young. So it's like, I just feel like this start, it's like, I don't want to say it's make or break, because if he has another bad start, it's not like he's not going to go back out there next time it's his spot in the rotation. But it's like, this is going to be his last start of April. This is kind of the start where it's like, is he turning it around? Has he found it? Like this, I think this start's going to be big in terms of the narrative, not only the early season narrative, but if he has another bad start, they're going to paint the narrative that this was a bad signing. This was everything. That's just how it's going to go. Well, even though it's April.
How about this? And I appreciate there's a text from the 925 that tipped me off to this, and maybe you know this, and some of our listeners, we do have smart listeners out there and viewers on YouTube and Twitch and all of that. The Padres lost his first 5 starts last year. The Padres lost. They were 0-5. They were also 1-8 in his first 9 starts. Now I'm looking at that, and I see, 3 2-1s in there, but the 2-1s were more in the starts 5 through 8,
right?
Not, but yeah, the first start, and I'll just go through the numbers. I mean, the first start he gave up 3 earned runs in 4 1/3, gave up 4 in 3 2/3, gave up 4 5, gave up 2 5, gave up 2 5. So he had some the 2 5s were there.
So in the 4th game he gave up 2 runs and 5. This is his 4th game.
And the 4th game he gave up. It was 2 earned runs. It was 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, but he did allow 2 earned in 5 innings, and the Padres lost at Wrigley Field 6-0. Okay. Actually, it was on the 25th, so a year ago. It would be a year exactly. Actually, no, that was his. I take that back. He had a March start, so I take that back. He had a March start last year, so that was actually his 5th start. Was the start. His 4th start, it was the same though. His 4th start, 2 earned, 5 innings, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 8-1 loss to the Braves.
Well,
so yeah, he wasn't exactly getting run support in a lot of these games. I'm looking at 2. I see a 2, a 1, a 0. I mean, so there's some non-run support, and the Padres had some bullpen issues as well early really throughout the whole season, but especially early last season. So yeah, slow starter, but I don't want the signs of hope for Blake Snell tomorrow to be, well, he looked good, but the line wasn't good. Like the line there needs to be an actual line tomorrow that's acceptable, because there really hasn't been to this point.
No, not at all. And
So
that's why literally get to 5 innings. That's step number 1.
It can't be 4 2/3, 5 earned runs. Hey, but he looked like he made some steps. Like that. Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
It can't be.
The results have to match the performance tomorrow. Win or lose. You may pitch great and lose. That's a totally different.
Well, and I think
outcome.
that's the next step. It's like, okay, if the Giants lose the game, how did Blake Snell do? Did Blake Snell take that next step going into May? Because it just the discourse needs to change. Otherwise, it's just going to get very weird amongst Giants. Just presence and media and all of that. If Blake Snell goes out, kind of pitches another dud going into May, it's like, I mean, what, Logan Webb won on Thursday, and even Jordan Hicks struggled on Sunday against the D-backs, but Jordan Hicks has been phenomenal all season, and he still didn't have his best stuff, but he still put up a decent line on Sunday.
Well, I've got the numbers here, and I always keep this, and we talked about the 4 straight Logan Webb starts. The Giants lost Webb's first 2, and they've won the last 4.
Yep.
And so they've gone through the rotation. Now this was Webb's first, or he was the first to have his 6th start tonight as the number 1. But no, you look at it. Giants are 4-2 in Webb starts. They're 3-2 in Harrison starts. They're 3-2 in Hicks starts. They started 0-3 in Keaton wins, but he's won the last 2 himself and pitched well in his last 2 outings, including the win last night. It's Snell 0-3, and the Dalton Jeffries slot, which was Snell's slot basically, because he signed so late that they didn't have a 5th starter, and so Dalton Jeffries had to go out there on Easter Sunday and get wrecked, basically take one for the team in the finale, because everything wasn't stacked up. And remember, Keaton Wynn couldn't even be the 4 because he had pitched a day later in his final tune-up, so he couldn't pitch till the Monday, which is why he pitched 5th, and they had the fourth spot open and went to Dalton Jeffries. So yeah, I mean, they're winning. I think at this point, when you look through all of it, Harrison, to me, and I know he had a great spring, Harrison to me has been better. Like, he's been as good as could possibly be expected to this point.
Completely agree.
Like awesome. Has taken through April an extension of his good spring. Like, box checked. Hicks, I didn't know what to expect with
And what's
him.
encouraging about Kyle Harrison is his 99 mile per hour, 100 mile per hour velocity has not been there to start the season. His velocity's been in that mid 90s range, and I know some people have been concerned about that, but even without his heater fastball, like, he has actually looked pretty solid in every outing so far this season. So if that velocity comes back and he finds that 99, 100 mile per hour range, we'll see if it happens. I throughout spring training and just through developing in the offseason and early parts of the season, he might not go back to that velocity range, but even without it, it's looked encouraging.
No, it's been encouraging. And the command issues that he's had in the past have not been as pronounced, at least as frequently. And so, no, he's been good. Like, I thought, I was kind of, we'll see. Like, great spring, we'll see. I want to see it in the majors, and Kyle Harrison's backed it up. Hicks as a reliever becoming a starter, what's that going to look like? and it's looked pretty good. He's had some command issues the last 2 starts, but nobody's hitting him. Even if he's had some command issues, he's still not getting lit around the ballpark. So I think the Jordan Hicks signing to this point has worked out really well. Keaton Wynn's been good, and then obviously we've talked about Logan Webb, who's been excellent. Really, I think in 5 of 6, he's been just the dude. And so now you look at the rest of it, and it's the Snell spot. That's the spot where the Giants are going to have to get more than they've had to this point in time. Well, Austin, good stuff, my man. Appreciate you stopping by. Good little segment. We're going to do this again. I've got the Giants are going on the road and some Eastern games, and then they're coming back. And next homestand, I know it'll be Copes and Tom tomorrow after the ball game, but next homestand, I think it's the Rockies or it's the Reds, the Dodgers, and the Rockies, I believe.
The Reds are the first homestand.
Yeah.
I know that.
It's the Reds, Dodgers, and Rockies, and sources say I may be here in the bunker for all 3 Dodger games.
Wow.
So,
look at you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be there for those.
Oh, yeah.
If you are, we'll pop you in. Appreciate it.
It's been great being on.
We'll talk a little baseball. So thanks to Austin Scott, doing a great job at KNBR on all the social media channels, on Instagram and Twitter and everything, basically. All TikTok, feel free to promote all the give us a little quick promo of everything.
KNBR, keep it simple.
It's at
Twitter,
KNBR everything.
Twitter, Instagram,
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Threads, Threads getting there, but we're on the main 5 for the most part, and it's been great making content in Giants games. So pre-game, during the game, post-game, 9 to 5, non-game days, we're always active on our socials. We always love interacting with you guys.
And for those that are we'll get the camera thing straightened out. I don't know what's going on with this laptop.
We will figure it out.
Well, I have the camera on because we're using my laptop.
You're making it work though with your laptop.
If people are like, why can't we see Austin? I wasn't gonna have Austin come sit on my lap, but sit next to me here. But so we'll for those that on
we'll figure it out.
Hey, why can't we see Austin? We'll get it straight. We got a bunch of cameras in here. They're just not all connected to the right spot at the moment, and that computer died next to me. So, all right, he's Austin Scott. I'm John Dickinson. We'll come back. 808 KNBR, the number, as the Giants get the win 5-1. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Speak your mind on these sports leaders. Sports Phone KNBR keeps coming at you. Streaming live at twitch.tv/the Sports Leader.
Left-handed hitter. Runners at first and third. The pitch. Ground ball hits softly towards short. Cutting over from third. Chapman's got it and throws him out at first. And that is a save for Camilo Doval. And the Giants have taken the first two of this series.
Yeah, Giants go for the sweep tomorrow. Camilo Doval comes in, closes up shop. Logan Webb the win as the Giants get the victory 5-1 the final segment here, Sports Phone KNBR, before we get you to the midnight replay. Big thanks to our buddy Austin Scott for coming over. And I want to make sure I get this right because he asked me a trivia question that I eventually got, but technically I didn't because I had to look at the roster. But it was basically Logan Webb did something tonight that hadn't been done since 2018 by a Giants pitcher, which is 3 consecutive starts, 1 run allowed or less. 1 runner. Okay, so Webb's done that now. 7 innings pitched, 1 run or less allowed, 3 consecutive starts. You got to go all the way back to 2018, the last time a Giants pitcher did this, and 2011 before that. And it was I'm not gonna let anybody stew on it here. Because I was kind of going back, who was? My first guess was Gausman. Like, obviously, I know that wasn't 2018, but before I knew it was 2018, I was thinking, maybe Gausman. And then I went DeSclafani. I immediately went to 2021. I thought, well, it must have happened in 2021 because everything else happened in 2021. But it wasn't. It ended up going back to 2018. It was Derek Rodriguez. Remember Derek Rodriguez? Pudge Rodriguez's son? Came up, and yeah, he had some great starts, but he was the last pitcher to do what Logan Webb's done in the last 3. 7 innings pitched, allowing 1 earned run or fewer. So kind of a weird one there because he truly took the Bay by storm for the time that he was in the Giants rotation that year. And then Tim Lincecum. Now, that one makes sense. Tim Lincecum makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate you, my man, as Austin heads out into the night. Yeah, Derek Rodriguez did start 19 games for the Giants in 2018. And, yeah, ended up with a 2.81 ERA, 6-4, and then really never heard from again. But, yeah, Tim Lincecum was the other one that did that over a 3-start span. So you got to go all the way back to 2011 for Tim Lincecum. So, yeah, Logan Webb putting himself into some good company. First pitcher to complete 7 innings in 4 different starts this season, as the Giants able to get the win over the Mets tonight. It's now 19 consecutive scoreless innings. He's not allowed to run in 19 straight innings, going back to his start in St. Petersburg against the Rays on the Giants' last road trip. And so, yeah, the 8 shutout innings tonight, it's a new career high for Logan Webb, going back to, we talked about 2021, from August 6th to August 17th in 2021, Logan Webb had a 17-inning scoreless streak. He has eclipsed that tonight with the 8 innings in this ball game to bring that to 19 consecutive scoreless innings. Webb now with 4 starts this season with at least 12 groundouts forced. It was 15 ground balls tonight for Logan Webb, 16 outs. So he got a 4-6-3 double play there to help get himself out of a jam before it truly became a jam. No other pitcher has more than 1 game this season with at least 12 groundouts forced. Logan Webb's got 4 now on the season, and tonight the 15 ground balls and the 16 outs. Mike Yastrzemski, we talked about him. He's coming around. As you look at the last 10 games for Mike Yastrzemski, had a couple of hits tonight. The big hit tonight, really, to turn a 1-0 lead into a 3-0 lead. 2 of his 3 driven in, coming in that 5th inning. But 9 for 28. So he's hitting .321 over the last 10 games after the 1 for 20. And I was on 3 weeks ago, right here in the bunker, when Yaz dipped to 1 for 20. And the people were not happy. The fans were not happy. But, we talked about it that night, tried to talk through it. Hey, he's going to come around. That was the night that Bob Melvin, amid some offensive woes through the first, at that point, I think it was 4 home games, he said, hey, he believed in the track records of some of these hitters, that they were going to come around and be more productive than they had been, at least on the homestand. And Yaz is starting to come around a little bit. And better at bats, better contact, more line drives, and it's leading to some output. And the big change for the Giants has been just a little more clutch, a little better hitting with runners in scoring position, and feeling good about those hits turning into a few more runs, which has turned in some of these games that were frustrating, impotent-looking defeats into, hey, all of a sudden this team's won 5 of 7 and looks a little bit more like the club that they had anticipated being. So good night all around. First time the Mets lost a series on the road, and they were held to 1 run or less for the 5th time on the season. Again, nice job for the Giants to get after Severino after he retired the first 12. Jung-Hoo Lee did have his 13-game on-base streak snapped after his 11-game hitting streak had been snapped. He kept the on-base streak going there. But, 0 for 4 for Jung-Hoo Lee tonight. But, the hitting heroes, Thairo Estrada, 2 for 3 with a run driven in. Conforto with a couple of hits. The big catch. We talked about Delval. And the Giants are playing quality defense. Not quite back yet to 500. Got to get back to 500. But they got to get Snell going. They got to get Blake Snell going, and it starts tomorrow after the start here that he had against Washington a couple of weeks ago. Then in St. Pete, the game that got away from the Giants in a bad way Friday. It turned into the 17-1 Friday night. And this tomorrow, if the Giants can get that win and get the sweep, would put a nice little bow on what would be, I think, a great homestand at that point. If you get the 5-2 and really, playing better baseball over the course of the last week here. So tomorrow becomes a big game. It's not do or die or anything like that, but we talked about it with our buddy Austin Scott. The fact that if the Giants, if you don't win tomorrow, all right, you still won the series. You still had a winning homestand with 3 games to go, and the Pirates in over the weekend. You're feeling good about the prospect of a winning homestand. 4-3 is what it would be if you can't win tomorrow. But if you can't win tomorrow, then that means potentially that Blake Snell didn't pitch well, and if Blake Snell doesn't pitch well, then the headline isn't going to be 4-3 on the homestand, won the series against the Mets. The headline tomorrow is going to be, well, Blake Snell didn't pitch well again. Track record or no, track record of being awesome and a Cy Young Award winner on the one end, and then the track record of getting off to some slower starts and his team getting off to some slower starts in the early going of his seasons, a part of that as well. 0-5 were the Padres in his first 5 starts last year. He got a win. He was 0-4 personally. In those 5. He got 1 no decision in the 5. So he was 0-4. Got his first win on May 1st, then lost 2 more. And the Padres lost 3 more. So it was 8 of the first 9, and he was 1-6. And from 1-6, he ended up 13-3. And saw his ERA go from 5.40 all the way down to 2.25 at the end of the year. So it's early. He didn't have a spring training. He's working through the kinks. But there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on Blake Snell tomorrow as far as what he can potentially bring to the table and kind of get off the schneid. Because if he does, this team for the first time all year has got some real momentum going. Some real momentum going to get back to 500 after the 6-10, the 7-11. And then you start looking up at the standings and you're basically a game out of the playoffs. Again, too early to do that. But we're already doing it. You're doing it when you're 6-10. You're doing it when you look at a team that's 7-11. So you might as well do it at 13-13. So big start tomorrow. Not do or die or anything like that, but a big start tomorrow for Blake Snell. And then we'll see what the Giants can do from there as far as the remainder of the homestand and the 3 games coming up this weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Friday, Saturday, Sunday before they go on the road. Boston, Philly, Colorado. And then the Reds, Dodgers, and Rockies coming up on the next homestand for the Giants. And playing better at home is a big deal, too. Because that first homestand, seeing the Giants show some life at home has been, I think that's been big. Because a big part of this season, and I talked about this a lot 3 weeks ago when I was on, big part of the season for the Giants is getting people feeling good about Giants baseball again. Getting the fans feeling good about coming to the ballpark and the vibes and the energy and having a few more name brand players on the roster, a few more recognizable players. But getting back some of the excitement that has been lost really for the last decade. And I know they franchise record in 2021 and all of that, but there weren't even full crowds allowed until the middle of that season. And it was just weird and different. We were all still stuck in COVID and restrictions and everything that went along with that. And, that year wasn't necessarily the year. By the end, by the time you're facing the Dodgers in the division series, it felt like normal for the most part, with a full house and Buster Posey going deep up onto the arcade. Like, that all felt normal. But that wasn't a true turning of the tide moment in terms of getting the excitement back for Giants baseball. So I think that's what the early part of this season is. The early part of this season is the Giants showing their fan base that this is going to be different, that this isn't last year, that this isn't 2022, that there is a higher level of ball player on this roster with a lot of the same guys who've been on the roster. So I think that's the one area where I thought slow start had the potential to really, I don't want to say doom them, but just you make a couple of big signings and then you come out and I think they were 8-13 last year and they got hot and then, things obviously tapered off. But I think there was an onus on the ability for this team to prove early that you had a better manager. And you had some talent that was going to hold up over 162. And you had some depth. And you were going to come up with some more clutch hits. And you were going to hit for more power. And you were going to have a formidable starting rotation that wouldn't be taking all these tough luck losses left and right. So I think a win tomorrow goes a long way toward keeping that momentum going. If you're the Giants and just, this team gets 4, 5, 6 games over 500. People in San Francisco are going to be feeling ways that they haven't felt in close to a decade. And I'm not saying that title contender and all that. It's April 23rd. So don't get me wrong. I'm not getting carried away on either end of the spectrum. But the beginning of this season, to me, is a hell of a lot more important than the beginning of the season to a team that's been able to establish themselves as winners. It's been losing season 2019, losing season in 20, losing season in 22, losing season in 23. I mean, it's 4 out of 5 years where it's been losing and it's been going about it a certain way. Yes, you did have the franchise record deal in there mixed in, but this year's supposed to be different. All right, that'll do it. Great stuff tonight. Thanks to everybody who called. I mean, we had full lines for the first 90 minutes with the early start, quick game. I mean, we were flying basically from 9:30 all the way to the top of the 11 o'clock hour. The people wanting to talk. Thanks to Austin Scott for helping in the clubhouse and then stopping by at 11. Thanks to Kyle Haar in our San Francisco studios, as well as Casey Copeland. Appreciate the help of everyone there. I'm John Dickinson. I'll be back, part of the draft coverage coming up Who says I'm one-dimensional? Dubs OT, Warrior season kaput? Throw me right in the bunker for a couple of nights, and then I'll be at 21st Amendment with Copes and Marcus, and we got your draft coverage coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday here on these Sports Leaders. So thanks to everybody. We'll talk to you Thursday. For Kyle and Casey, I'm JD, and Austin as well. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.